Hi everyone, my name is Annika and I'm part of the Data Science Discovery team, and in this video today we are going to be doing a question on types of studies as well as some conclusions we can draw from them. So let's go ahead and get started. So it says here, do candy eating kids become criminals? So parents often use sweets to pacify misbehaving and cranky children. However, the result of a new study published in Time magazine shows that children who eat too many sweets at a young age may run the risk of becoming violent when they become adults. Wow, okay. So research showed that the kids who with the worst problems had the worst diets. So long-term study with a sample size of this 70,000 people born in a specific week of April 1970 was conducted to test this association, right? As the children grew and entered into adulthood, the lead researcher periodically questioned the participants about their diet and whether they had been convicted of a crime, right? So it seems here that they're just kind of questioning them and observing what has happened. They were first asked for this data at age 10 and then age 34. Results showed that 69% of participants who reported being convicted for a crime by age 34 ate candy almost every day as children. So we can see that there is, a pretty strong association here. So the first question is, what type of study was actually conducted? So one, we need to identify whether this was an experiment or an observational study. Now, remember, in an experiment, the researcher has control over what types of groups they can assign the subjects to, right? So the researcher has control over basically the assignment of the subjects to either the treatment or the control groups, right? So here we know that the researchers aren't really assigning anyone to a group, right? We're just observing these children as they get older from age 10 and then age 34. Yeah, sure, there was questioning, but at the end of the day, you're still observing what has happened, right? You're basically asking these kids questions and just writing down and really asking whether they had been convicted of a crime or not. So we don't have any control over their diet of, like, I don't know, what type of kids has to eat candy every day, and then seeing if they become convicted of a crime, right? So we're just observing their diets and observing their life choices later on. So because of this is actually just an observational study, because the researcher, we don't have any control over what kids go in which group. So we're just kind of observing what happens. So that's why this is an observational study. Now, did the researchers check the subjects over time, called a longitudinal study, or did they just survey them once? So because we see here that these kids were first asked for this data at age 10 and then at age 34, so there was some aspect of time here, right? Because these kids, we see their diets when they're young, and then we see whether they have been convicted of a crime at age 10, and then later on at age 34. So we can see here that this was, answer B is correct, because the subjects were tracked from childhood to adulthood. They were not just surveyed once, but over time. So we know that our answer choice B is the correct one here. Now, for a third question, does a study show that eating too much candy as a child can raise one's risk of becoming a criminal adult? So here, we're primarily looking at whether there was association involved, or if we can see if there is a cause from eating candy to becoming to having increased criminal behavior. So we definitely know that we can't fully say that eating too much candy causes an increase in one's risk of becoming a criminal adult, just because of the nature of this study. Because this is an observational study, we know that there is an association that can be proven, right? Since we are not doing any random assignment of subjects to any groups, right? There's no random assignment taking place here, because we can't even choose which subjects to assign to which groups. We definitely know that we can't say that there's a direct cause. So we need to say that there's an association, but how strong is kind of dependent on the study, right? Whether or not it controls for these confounders or not. If this study was well designed, and even though it's an observational study, maybe if it only looked at kids who, the only aspect in their life was their diet and not any maybe behavior problems or any mental health issues or any other factors that may cause increased aggravation that may lead to being a criminal adult. If we were to control for those types of behaviors in their lifestyle, then maybe we could show that there's a cause. But because we don't know how this study is designed, we can't say for sure that there was a cause, nor can we rule out that there was not a cause, because there may be some ways to say that there was a cause, right? If we kind of control for these confounders that may mess up the chances of eating candy, directly causing increased chances of being a criminal adult. If we control for those confounders, then maybe, we could say, there was somewhat of a cause, but we don't really know that, so we can't rule out that possibility. So I would say the answer that makes the best sense here would actually be B, because it says here, no, the study only shows that eating candy is associated with increased adult criminal behavior. It does not show whether or not candy is a cause, right? We can't say for sure. Because this is an observational study, we can only say that there's an association. But as for whether there's a cause or not, more studies, either more studies would have to be conducted, or two, we would need to develop another well-defined study that kind of controls for these confounding variables. For question A, or answer choice A, it says, shows that eating candy daily is associated with, but definitely does not cause increased criminal behavior. I would say this is too absolute. We can't just rule out this possibility. As we mentioned before, there may be some ways to say that there is a cause by controlling for some confounders. And then C, it says, yes, it shows that eating candy raises the risk, although it doesn't specify what in the candy is to blame. Well, the question just asks about, the association. We don't really need to find what specific ingredient in the candy is causing this behavior. And again, this kind of shows that this is a cause and not an association. So I would say this is somewhat not relating to the question and says that this is a cause instead of an association. So I would say B is the best answer here. And yes, these can be a bit tricky, but the best way is to just really focus on what type of study this is, what evidence do we currently have. Try to not to be too absolute with your answers, right? Showing that there's an association is a safe answer, but at the same time, we don't know whether it's a cause or not. We would just have to look into the study more or do more experiments or studies to really evaluate that further. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you next time. Bye.